feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank. When it take a swim, only option is to win.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Arkansas Shrimp Tank Podcast post-show wrap-up. I'm your host, Rich Jensen, along with my co-host, David Sims. And if you don't know about the Shrimp Tank, we invite some of the brightest and best CEOs to come in and share with us the do's and don'ts of being an entrepreneur. Today we had with us Matt Haas of Solupay Payment Solutions. And if I don't know if you're like me, but I have a hard time understanding what happens between the time I insert the card into the chip reader and I get the bill. But Matt has really shared with us what goes on behind the scenes and how to save a lot of money, right?
That's right, man. He pulled back the screen on the Wizard of Oz, man. You're a veritable Toto, man. So you got to check out that podcast and hear. You'll learn a lot. It was very enlightening for us. Yeah.
In fact, Matt, I think you said you were able to save one client over $30,000 a year.
Correct. They are considered a high-risk merchant, and so they had a $400,000 reserve, which oftentimes processors place and just in case. It's all related to chargebacks. But we were able to get that reserve lifted and put that money back in their bank account, as well as save them $30,000 a year in fees. So that was a lot of fun.
As always, we're really trying to help the entrepreneur in business, running their business, growing their business, even getting started in a business. And one of the things I like to find out from all of our entrepreneurs and our CEOs is what do they think is the biggest myth when it comes to being your own boss? And so, Matt, you shared with us some really good points on that.
Yeah, well, one myth, the old adage, it takes money to make money, is not always true. Because I've seen a lot of businesses do very well that started with just hard work, sweat equity, and long hours. But if you're willing to hustle and have the right model, you can do a lot with a little. Now, of course, money can help expedite that and grow a business faster, but don't use that as an excuse.
Got it.
One of the things you talked about on the podcast as well was how you protect your clients or how you help businesses avoid unnecessary fees and costs and how you kind of lift that window or that curtain from that. Talk about that briefly.
Yeah, so part of our analysis is we break down every detail of the statement and look at the types of cards that merchants are taking, specifically if they're B2B and take a lot of corporate cards. There's something called level 2 and level 3 data, and if they are not entering that information, it can cost them a significant amount of money. And so we have a way to automate that process and then really just look at all the hidden fees that a lot of processors play games with and expose those to the merchant, make sure they're getting a fair deal.
Toto roll, huh?
Right.
Pulling back the curtain.
So Solupay, because their honesty and transparency in pricing and commitment to never raise rates, they have a 97% retention rate, which is unheard of.
Yeah.
In the industry, it's I think you said 70%.
70% is the average.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's really remarkable.
We also, during the podcast, talked about some of the stats from the Entrepreneur magazine about why businesses fail. And actually, I think it was over 10 years, over 70% of small businesses fail. And Matt, you had an interesting perspective on that. Share with our listeners.
Well, I think starting out in anything new, even if you have significant knowledge in that area, there's so many things to run a business. So you want to surround yourself with smart people if you can, which could be a partnership, could be a franchise model that's already in place that's working. Just making sure that you have all of the gaps filled. So asking people that know you well, hey, what are my strengths or what are my weaknesses? Because a lot of times we think we can do everything. And if you have that entrepreneurial mindset, you think you can conquer the world, and hopefully you can, but it usually takes some help along the way. So make sure you surround yourself with good people and then have good sales and marketing, because without sales and marketing and consistent referrals or leads or deals, then it's really hard to sustain business long term.
Absolutely. Well, it was a great show. I encourage you to listen to the full podcast. If you didn't catch it live, you can catch it on iTunes by downloading it, or you can go to arkansas.shrimptankpodcast.com. But before we finish up, Matt, if someone really wants to get a hold of you to find out maybe how to save money on their card processing or learn what's going on behind the curtain, how would they get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can send me an email at matt.haas, Haas, at solupay.com, or find me on LinkedIn.
That sounds great.
You won't want to miss the podcast. Matt Toto Haas. It's remarkable.
Hey, everybody,
Thanks for
until
joining us,
next
Matt.
week, have a great week and have a profitable week.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big